Well, chances are you gave the air conditioning in your car a little bit of a break over the weekend.
Which makes it a good time to be sure it's in good working condition before it heats up again. Our Monday morning mechanic, David Rogers from Keller Brothers Auto Repair, here showing off a new test that can highlight even the smallest leaks in your air conditioner. Hey, David.
Hi, Natalie. How are you?
Good.
Hey, you know, Tom didn't use his AC over the week, but when your windows were foggy, did you remember to turn yours on to clear out the moisture?
No.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, then my show's worthwhile today. We're going to talk about how important it is to keep your AC up. And even during the winter and during these cooler times, when your windshield's all foggy or your windows get foggy, if you'll flip that AC on, it'll dry out the air and take that away right away. And the other reason to keep the AC really squared away in the winter is that we want to make sure that all the seals throughout the system stay nice and moist so that it's not losing Freon through the winter. So you want to run it about every week or two and just let it run for 15 or 20 minutes to push the oil around through the system. So I want to show you just a couple quick things. This here and this are receiver dryers or accumulators, and we talked about one of these a few weeks ago about how they can clog up with debris from the compressor falling apart. But these are some of the places you can get a leak in your system. Here we have a compressor as well. This is what pumps the cold air through your system, and you can kind of see where the belts travel on here, and that's what that's for, and inside there is where it does all the hard work. There's a lot of places here where we can leak. Now back over here what I have is a fan, and this is similar to the fan in your car. It's got a little clutch in there. When this clutch fails, that's where the problem is. It can really reduce the flow through the system and cause leaks as well. And these are just a few of the components. What I'm going to show you now, these are O-rings, and each one of these represents where one part comes together with another in your AC system and where all the leaks can happen. Now, I couldn't bring all these components here, or we'd need 6 tables and an hour to go through them, but as you see, there are a lot of places where Freon can leak, because what you got here are these little seals go where one component might hook up to another, and as a result, you have a potential for a leak. So what I'm going to show you now is a little test that we do that will allow us to determine the actual leak instead of trying to go through your system and replace part after part after part, which can get really expensive. A compressor alone could cost you $700, so you don't want to just start replacing components. If we could please have some lights. What I'm going to show you here is a little fluorescent device that I have, and you'll be able to see perhaps some dye here. Oh, looky there, we found a leak on this component. You see how that's glowing really well in the dark? This stuff was installed in there. Now if you watch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little of this dye and I'm going to show you if this stuff were leaking here, if it were leaking out of the system, we'd be able to tell where the leak originated, because you're going to see where the dye, we actually inject it inside. And when you can see where the dye originates from, then you know to trace it back to where the leak started and say, okay, that's where we need to start and repair that right then. Could we have lights, please? Excellent. So, as you can see, the dye is really helpful. Instead of, again, replacing tons of components, what we're going to do is we'll inject it inside the entire system. As the system's running, it's pushing the dye throughout the system into every little nook and cranny, and wherever it escapes is where the origination of the leak is. We now install this at my shop inside of every air conditioning job. We put dye in there as a precursor to the service in a preventative measure, so that if you do have a leak later on, we can find it. Now, the AC system's just like your engine. When the engine sits still, the oil runs down into that bottom pan at the bottom, and nothing's getting lubricated up top right away, so you let it warm up. Same thing with the AC system. Turn your AC on, whether it's hot or cold, every week or two. Let it run for 15 or 20 minutes. You can turn the heat up with the AC on, so you don't have to be cold. But make sure that it's running, because it's going to push that oil up and throughout the system. And if you've been to my shop, it's going to have dye in there, and if you have a leak, we'll find it right away.
All right, and just another good reason to put on the gloves. So that's all I need.
Any excuse, Tom, any excuse.
Another reason to put on the gloves. All right, thanks so much, David.
Have a good day.
We'll be back. Stay with us.